How's it going, everyone? So, Draft Day stars Kevin Costner, Jennifer Garner, and Dennis Leary, and it essentially follows Sonny Weaver Jr., played by Costner, as the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. And it's 12 hours before the draft, and he just wants to make a splash to try to turn around his organization because he's on the brink of getting fired, and something has to get done. And so the opening scene is of the Seattle Seahawks, who ironically have the #1 overall pick in this movie, and it's funny that they're in the Super Bowl right now. And the guy in the office tells the general manager of the Seahawks to call the most desperate person he knows to try to unload this first overall pick, and it just cuts to the dog pound, and Kevin Costner's phone rings, and it's just funny because the Cleveland Browns, whether it's in a movie or in real life, just get shit on, and they're just a pathetic franchise, and it's just a nice, funny joke. I don't know if it was intended to be that way, but that's how it was in this film. And the way he manages to get this first overall pick is kind of ridiculous, but the actual more absurd thing is the fact that he has no idea who he's going to pick. You don't trade for the #1 overall pick and just trade away all those picks for a question mark. I mean, you have to be able to get a can't-miss prospect that changes your franchise if you're going to do that type of risk. And the fact that he didn't get fired right then and there just says something about this film and the way it's going to go. So the #1 overall pick, the #1 prospect is Bo Callahan. He's this quarterback from Wisconsin, and they compare him in the movie to Andrew Luck, saying he's a can't-miss prospect. He can change your organization and just absolutely take control and be the franchise quarterback that every franchise wants and needs. And for some reason, Kevin Costner wants to find a reason not to draft this guy. So at the whole movie, he's just asking everybody, just looking for that one thing wrong with him. And the way they have this guy act in scenes and act around other people, Bo Callahan, you can just tell there's something not right about him. It's like ridiculous how much they're throwing it in your face. They might as well have just came out and said, hey, this is what's wrong with them. But he eventually does try to see if he can find something. And at the same time, he's dealing with whether or not he should take this one linebacker who's underrated. He values him high because he has great character and work ethic, and he just loves the game of football. But the thing is, he has the #1 overall pick. He could have got him at 7. So there's no actual reason for him to trade up and then draft the guy he could have got 7 picks later. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not going to say what happens, but what ends up being the final decision is just so stupid. And I was giggling in my head because this just cannot and simply would not happen. And then he's also dealing with the fact that the pressure, because the reason he makes these trades is because they were 5-1 the previous season, and then their quarterback gets hurt, and they finish 6-10 and end up with the 7th overall pick, and he has to fire his dad, and so there's a lot of pressure on him because everyone loved his dad, and he has to make things right and make this his team, and he wants to win it his way, and it's not handled very well, and the story's comical. It's really lazy behind-the-scenes things. There's a lot of little cameos and highlights about the NFL, but it's just surface-level material that never really dwells deeper. It's not a movie that tries to be anything special or get you on the inside of how teams actually interact within the war room and go about their processes of drafting players and preparing for the future. It's nothing like that. Maybe in the Lions' fucking war room when Matt Millen was there, this is what it was like. It makes sense, but I guarantee you 31 other war rooms are nothing like this. And so this film, I guess, I don't know if being an NFL fan would actually make you dislike this more or like it because you catch things that other people might not, or you just hate the way they go about their business in this movie. But, I mean, that's something I really don't have an idea with. The other thing is this film does this weird little editing or production thing where it weaves characters into the scene even though they're not actually in the same room, so they'll be talking on the phone but it looks like they're right next to each other, and it does this a lot, and it's really kind of annoying, and I didn't really dig what was going on there, and I was a little surprised at just how cliche this movie was. I guess not surprised, but my friend leaned into me at the beginning of the movie and described what he thought would happen, and it's a lot like Trouble with the Curve, and I'm like, this can't happen. It's impossible. He has the number 1 overall pick. And then things take a turn near the end, and it's like, okay, that's how they're going to get away with it, and it just ends up being a overall silly film that I didn't hate by any means, but it's not good at all. And I'm going to give Draft Day a D, and when it comes out near the draft in April, I guess check it out if it's something you're interested in and want a few laughs, but don't go in expecting nothing but really surface level material that isn't very interesting. So have a good one, guys.